Hello, everyone. I'm Biz Coach Steve Feld, and welcome to Biz Coach and Coffee. For those of you who don't know me, my goal is to stop business owners from suffering entrepreneurial depression and start making running their businesses much easier. Business owners and entrepreneurs hire me to crack 7 figures without burning themselves out. Today, we have another fantastic guest with us. We have Sara Mayer. Now, Sara, she owns her own business. She's the creator of Sara Mayer Consulting and is a go-to expert on organizing your hectic days, weeks, and months into manageable and functional chunks of work. Boy, in the entrepreneurial world, I think that is highly needed. Welcome, Sara.
Oh, thank you, Steve. I'm so excited to talk with you. I always love our conversation. So excited to jump in.
We're so happy to have you here, give some great tips to our business owners and entrepreneurs, because I know I look at my schedule every day and I live and die by it. And I get that pit in the bottom of my stomach every now and then. So first, let's start off why did you start your business and how long you've been in business and all those kind of things?
Oh, I love that question, Steve. So my business actually started by accident. I was working in corporate America and my boss came up to me and said, I want you to work on this little project and put together a training for the bottom performers who are struggling. So take a look at what the top people are doing, whip together a training, and let's get them ready and able to do what they need to do to be successful here. And I'm an operations person, so I set forward and I really wanted to see what the top performers were doing. So I sat with the top 25% for about half a day and I took copious notes, and I was actually shocked. They were the least efficient people I've ever met on the planet. They were in the break room every 5 minutes, and I could not believe that these were our top performers. So I went back to the data team and I asked for a full workup on them. I wanted to know every time they touched the computer, what they were doing and everything. And what I actually found out was they were outworking everybody else. So they weren't outperforming everybody else. They were working almost 2 people's worth of time. So almost 80 hours a week. They were working on holidays. They were working on midnight. They were taking leads. And when I aggregated the number of hours that they worked, they actually were the middle to bottom performers.
Wow.
So then I went out and I found the people who were only working 40 hours and they were efficient. They came in, they set a plan, they did all these things. We found some very common threads, but one of the biggest threads was at 40 hours, they went home. Now, every once in a while, they worked a little longer or anything like that, but they really took time to refresh and relax. And they also had been at the company for longer. So we identified some systemic issues with how the company was running, but also we realized that we were setting the bar and it was not realistic for people to be successful. So I put together that little training program. And we actually went back to the C-suite and said, is this the culture we want to have here? In order to be successful, you have to work all the time. And the answer was no. And we went forward and level setted the culture. We basically told people, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. And after 40 hours, we cut off their access on their phones.
Nice.
And it was interesting, but the company actually doubled their revenue that year. And their turnover went down. People were happier and we were producing more. And that's how my business started. People started asking me to help their husband's company or their wife's company, or their spouse was a sole entrepreneur and they said they're working all the time. They're in bed with their laptop. How do we change this? And that's where my company was born. And then in 2020, I went full time.
Nice.
Yeah.
Who are your primary clients nowadays?
Yeah, typically I like to work with entrepreneurs who have started their business and have just started onboarding team members. The sweet spot is about 5 to 10 employees. That's my current target market. So I help them set up their system so they don't get to the point where they're working themselves 24 hours a day or their new team members.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Figures. I do a no technology day at least one time a month, and it's the greatest day ever.
Yeah. I actually joke that, some people say, if I win the lottery, I'll get an in-home chef or an in-home whatever, or I'll spend my money on this. I will get an in-home IT person.
There you go.
Wouldn't that be lovely?
Oh, yeah. The hours. Well, good. Well, when you're working with the business owners, entrepreneurs, what are some things like you see that are like starting to slant, like, they're going towards burnout mode? What kind of things can they recognize within themselves to say, hey, I got to pull the reins back a little bit?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest ways that you can start to see when people are headed towards burnout is when you really take a deep dive in their calendar and they've either completely lost track of time, so they're trying to do all the things and things aren't actually getting to the finish line. They're starting a lot of things. They'll build offers, or they'll start to build programs, but then they don't have somebody to take that to the finish line. So they just have all these loose ends. And you can see that when you look at somebody's calendar or ask them, what the timeline is to achievement of a project. And that's usually when you start to see burnout, because they're trying to do so many things and they're not ever landing the plane. And then, of course, when I ask them, when's the last time you took a day off, or do you take lunches or breaks? And they laugh at me. Lunches? What? Yeah, I'm eating right now as we're talking. And I think that's the first step to whenever you're on your way to burnout and not being able to be successful or purposeful in your business because you're trying to do all the things.
Funny you mentioned that, because I did put lunch and dinner on my calendars. It helped out a lot. And every now and then, my staff, they laugh about it. And I'm like, if I don't, I won't eat. I'll be very straight up about that. We're going to get a little bit deeper into calendars, and definitely, because I live and die by mine. And Sara gave us some great tips. But let's take a quick break from our sponsor. We'll be right back. This episode is sponsored by Spotlight Books. Get your expert book completed in 30 days. If you don't have an expert lead magnet book about you and how you serve your market, then visit www.spotlight-books.com. Link is also in the show notes. Put a spotlight on your expertise. All right, and we're back with Sara. Sara was giving us some great tips, like how can we identify when we're going down the road of burning themselves out. So now we identified it. What are some things like to get things off our plate, or delegate, or maybe not take on projects? How do we go about doing all that?
Yeah, I'm actually going to start with that last point, not taking on projects. Many entrepreneurs or even business leaders, they end up loading stuff onto their plate that maybe they should have said no to. And I always joke, if you want me to chair a committee, ask me in July. July is my least busy month. And I will look at my calendar. I don't feel busy. I don't have a lot going on. And so I'm more likely to say yes. And what I really found is that if I put everything on my calendar that I've said yes to and I future plan, like if I'm going on vacation, it's not just about the vacation. It's about everything that goes around that vacation. Time before off work, time after doing laundry, getting my nails done, my hair, all those things. So I load everything on my calendar, including lunches and all that stuff. And I think that's really important, because then when you truly have the picture of what's going on in your life and what that committee is going to take, because sometimes it's not just the event that you're chairing, it's the 15 meetings that go before that and the 20 hours of work. And so when you say yes to something, put everything involved with that on your calendar right away. And you will then, when you're asked for other things, you'll be able to say, actually, I'm busy and not able to do that. The other suggestion is, especially with women hate to say no. And I stopped saying no like 4 years ago. So I started saying, when somebody asked me to chair something or do something that I really didn't have time for, I started saying, do you know who'd be really great for that? And I would give them a name and connect them. And then that way I didn't feel bad for saying no. They had a resource and could go move forward with that. So that's kind of how I've found a great way to ensure that I'm not overbooking myself and also putting things on my plate that really are a hell yes and not, I'm only doing this because that person asked me and I feel like I should, or I didn't want to say no.
That's a great point. Yeah, those shoulder weeks are, I call them the shoulder weeks, the week before, the week after a vacation, conference, any of those things. You got to block it out, because the saying goes, we're our most productive right before we go on a vacation. Mm-hmm. And it's so true.
Yeah. And then you need a vacation right after if you don't plan.
I know. I went to a summit recently and I thought I blocked out the week after so I could digest and implement follow up with people. I don't know what happened. My calendar was open. I looked at my calendar halfway through the summit and my next week was filled. And I'm like, uh-oh, that's a problem. That's a way to go to burnout. So double check, have someone else double check your calendar.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're talking about IT. There we go. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, businesses are, not all rainbows, unicorns, and sparkles. What kind of challenges have you had in your business and how'd you overcome them?
That's a great question. When I first started out on my own, the biggest challenge I had was I've always worked in a large organization with many employees, more than 50, sometimes over 22,000 reported indirectly up. And I could come out of a meeting with a totally wild idea, mention it to one or two people, go on to my next meeting, and then come back. And those people had figured out how to do it. And the only question was, when do you want to implement this? And we probably should get together and make sure everything's good. And so the biggest challenge I had at first was being the one-woman show, because as you know, I had to do everything. I come up with the wild idea, then I had to figure out the tech, the budget, the finance, all that stuff. And so that was my biggest challenge at first. And then really future planning for my growth. That's one of the things that I help business leaders with is you can do anything for a little bit of time. So if you know you have to be the bookkeeper for the first 6 months, but you know that you don't like doing that and your first hire is going to be a bookkeeper, you can get through it. And that's more motivation to get that done so that you can be successful and afford it. So really future planning my business is what helped me. I have an org chart for when I have 50 employees. I know all their jobs, what they will be doing, and what is coming off my plate.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Isn't that a great feeling?
Yep.
Well, great. I know you have some phenomenal programs and everything. What is something you can share with our audience to take advantage of to help them in their business?
Yeah. So one of the things I love to do with entrepreneurs is strategic goal setting. It goes back to that org chart. Many times when I ask anyone, actually, what are your goals? They typically have goals. Business leaders have goals as well. And then I ask the second question: do you have the steps to achieve them written down, or a roadmap? And most often people are like, well, it's kind of in my head. Oh, I'm really busy. I get a lot of email. And it's like the sidestepping. So one of my favorite things to do with new clients is to do a 6-call coaching program where I really help them to map out their goals and the steps to get there with a strategic plan of refreshing that. And that's one of my favorite things, because when you have that plan, even if you don't know all the steps, the likelihood of those goals for your business coming alive increases exponentially.
So true. That is so needed. And we'll have the link for that in our show notes. So please take advantage of Sarah's offer. I know from talking to business owners, all levels, it's just amazing. I have to sit there and almost force them to even do strategic planning for a week.
Yeah.
So to get them to do their annual plan, I always show them how I do mine. And it's like, guys, this is part of your business. This is to grow. It's very valuable. I think what you're doing is phenomenal with them.
Oh, thank you. And I think the one thing, sorry, I'll just jump in, Steve. The one thing is many companies will spend money on strategic plans and they sit on the shelf. The strategic roadmap really is about coming at it, just like you're talking about annual plan, coming back to it often. And when you don't build that into your schedule, it will just sit on the shelf. Exactly. And then you may or may not hit it. And when you do, you don't really have that record of how you got there. So it's super important. And it's one of the things I love when business owners then are able to say, look at this plan we created. It ended up being 600 steps, but I did it.
Right.
And that's what really brings those things to life, which is empowering.
Oh, I couldn't agree with you more. One of the business I ran, we did our annual plan, and every month for one of our weekly meetings, it was to pull out that future month and past month and do our variances and are we on track, everything. Do we need to make any adjustments? Our business was growing month after month because everyone knew where we were and where we needed to go.
Yep. Yeah.
So simple.
Yeah. And sometimes entrepreneurs are beating themselves up because they're not achieving, and they really are. They just aren't tracking it, which I think is even cooler.
So true. Well, Sara, I just want to say thank you for being our guest here today and your wonderful offer. We will have that in the show notes. And then if we can, I'll get you offline and we'll see if we can set up a time to talk for about a 30-minute meeting. I got some ideas so we can brainstorm and see what else we can create for our entrepreneur and small business owner friends here.
Yeah, sounds great. Thank you so much, Steve. I always love chatting with you and love what you're doing to help people achieve their business goals.
Likewise. Thank you for being with us. I want to tell everyone, please take advantage of Sara's offer, and we'll see you next time on Biz Coach and Coffee. To your business success, this is Biz Coach Steve Feld. We hope you enjoyed today's topic. If you'd like to discuss how you can apply these strategies in your business, let us know. This episode is sponsored by Spotlight. Get your own expert book written about you in 30 days. Set yourself apart from the competition. Make sure you like and subscribe to this channel. Also, feel free to give us your comments. We look forward to hearing from you on Biz Coach and Coffee.